What if I told you that most men over 50 have been approaching emotional closeness the wrong way? Not because they lack experience, but because no one ever explained how the brain actually builds connection. I'm Dr. Claire Monroe, and today I'm going to show you something grounded in real neuroscience, something that can change the way your partner responds to your presence, your touch, and your calm energy. No small talk. No polite introductions. Let's get straight to the truth. Your brain, her brain, and the space between you operate on a set of biological rules. When you understand them, intimacy becomes simpler, warmer, and far less confusing. And the surprising part? Older men have a natural advantage. Stay with me, because once you understand the first principle, everything else begins to unlock. Most men think intimacy is something you create with big gestures, dramatic moments, or flawless performance. But neuroscience shows something completely different. The brain bonds through small, repeated signals of safety. Not excitement. Not intensity. Safety. And this is where mature men excel. After 50, you naturally carry a steadiness younger men don't have. Your presence is calmer. Your attention is slower. Your intention is clearer. The brain reads these qualities as reassurance, and reassurance is the foundation of deep connection. Here's the part most men never hear. Emotional closeness begins before any touch happens. It starts in the nervous system, in a set of fibers called affective touch pathways. These pathways respond not to pressure, not to intensity, but to gentle, predictable contact that tells the brain you're safe, you're cared for. When activated, they release oxytocin, lower stress hormones, and create a sense of warmth that lingers for hours. Think about that. Intimacy isn't created in the moment you think it happens. It's built from the signals you send long before that moment arrives. The way you breathe, the way you pause, the way you listen without rushing. These are not soft skills, they're biological triggers. And here's your first micro shift. Slow down your responses by just 10%. Not dramatically, not artificially, just slightly. Because when you slow down, her nervous system mirrors you. Her breathing shifts. Her shoulders loosen. Her guard lowers. This is where real connection begins, not in grand actions, but in the subtle cues her brain has been wired for since birth. In a moment, I'll show you the first practical technique that uses this principle instantly. Stay with me. Now that you understand the nervous system's role in connection, here's the next truth most men overlook. The body reacts to anticipation more strongly than to the touch itself. This isn't psychology. It's pure biology. When your partner senses a calm, intentional approach, her brain begins releasing small pulses of oxytocin even before contact happens. That means the moment before you touch her is just as important as the touch. Let me make this practical. When you reach toward her, her shoulder, her hand, the side of her arm, slow your movement by 1 or 2 seconds. Not enough to feel dramatic. Just enough that her brain recognizes a signal. This moment matters. That tiny delay activates her prediction circuits, the same circuits responsible for curiosity, warmth, and emotional engagement. Younger men rush through this part because they're outcome-focused. Mature men, whether they realize it or not, have the advantage of patience. Here's the simplest exercise you can practice starting today. The next time you're sitting beside her, place your hand halfway between you and pause. Let the moment breathe. Let her awareness shift. Then continue the movement gently. This isn't a technique for attraction, it's a technique for attunement. Her nervous system adjusts to your pace. Her shoulders release tension. Her breath deepens. You're telling her body, you're safe with me, without saying a word. And here's the part most men never learn. Connection isn't built when you touch her. Connection is built when she feels seen before the touch happens. In the next section, I'll show you the first specific area of the body where this principle works with surprising strength. It's subtle, it's science-backed, and most men completely ignore it. Now we're ready to talk about the first area of connection, the one almost every man overlooks. And ironically, it's the easiest place to begin building emotional safety. It's the space just behind the shoulder, near the upper back. Not the front of the shoulder, not the arm, the upper back shoulder ridge. Why does this matter? because this area contains neural pathways linked to posture, stress release, and emotional regulation. When the upper back relaxes, the brain receives a powerful signal: the environment is safe. And safety is the doorway to connection. Here's what makes this spot so unique. It responds best to steady, intentional contact, not pressure, not squeezing, not rubbing, just presence. Think about how people naturally brace their shoulders when they're tense, worried, or guarded. The shoulder ridge absorbs stress quietly. So when someone with calm energy, like you, touches that area gently, the body interprets it as a release valve. It's one of the fastest ways to lower cortisol and shift into connection mode. Let me show you the technique, because the how is everything. Sit or stand behind her. Lift your hands slowly, remember the anticipation principle, and place your palm on the upper back shoulder ridge. Don't move your hand yet. Just let it rest. Hold it for 2 or 3 seconds. Then apply a slight, steady downward pressure, not to push, but to stabilize. This grounded contact signals the brain that the nervous system can let go. And here's something fascinating. Research shows that when two people subtly synchronize their posture and breathing, empathy increases and conflict decreases. This single spot helps trigger that synchronization naturally. Men over 50 excel here because your energy carries more steadiness than speed. You don't need theatrics. You don't need intensity. Your calm is the technique. Before I move on, let me ask you something important. Your CTA name hang so one. When someone places a steady hand on your shoulder, do you feel calmer or more guarded? Comment 1 if it relaxes you, or 2 if it makes you tense. Your answer helps other men realize they're not alone in how their bodies respond. Now here's the real gem. This area works even outside intimate settings. Sitting together on the couch. Standing in the kitchen. Walking side by side. A gentle touch on the upper back shoulder can shift the emotional tone of the moment. It reminds her of your presence. It anchors her nervous system. It tells her you're supported without a single word spoken. But this is only the beginning. Because there's a second area, far more sensitive to emotional energy, where connection deepens almost instantly when you, and this next one. Most men have never used the second area of connection, is even more underestimated, yet it delivers a deeper emotional effect than most men realize. It's the inner forearm, specifically the soft skin between the wrist and the elbow. At first glance, it seems ordinary, but neuroscience tells a different story. The inner forearm is filled with C-tactile nerve fibers, a special class of receptors that respond to gentle, slow contact. Not pressure. Not intensity, just gentle, steady movement at a controlled pace. When activated, these fibers send signals directly to the parts of the brain responsible for comfort, bonding, and trust. Here's the surprising part. These fibers don't respond to firm gripping or abrupt motion, which is why younger men often miss the effect entirely. They move too quickly. They use too much pressure. They chase an outcome instead of building a feeling. But men over 50, men like you, naturally move with more intention. The nervous system reads this as warmth. Let me show you how to use this area effectively. First, position yourself beside her, not in front. The side-by-side angle reduces social tension and increases the feeling of safety. Then extend your hands slowly, not touching yet, just letting your presence be noticed. Remember the principle from earlier. Anticipation activates connection. When your hand finally reaches her inner forearm, keep your fingertips relaxed and soft. Move them in a slow, single direction wrist toward elbow, never rushing the motion. This speed, somewhere around 3 to 5 centimeters per second, is where C-tactile fibers fire most efficiently. Pause for a second. Then repeat the movement, same direction, same pace. Consistency matters more than variation. What you're doing here isn't stroking. You're communicating stability. You're telling her nervous system you're safe. I'm present. I'm here with you. And there's a hidden bonus. Research shows that when someone's inner forearm is touched gently in this rhythm, their breathing unconsciously begins to sync with the person touching them. That means her body literally starts adjusting to your emotional state. If you're calm, grounded, and breathing slowly, she will mirror that without realizing it. This is the kind of intimacy men over 50 excel at, connection built through patience, not performance. But the inner forearm is only the second key. There's a third area, much more emotionally potent, far more powerful at lowering stress, and almost guaranteed to deepen trust when used correctly. Most men ignore it their entire lives. You won't. The third area of emotional connection is one of the most powerful and yet the most misunderstood. It's the upper center of the back, right over the spine, between the shoulder blades. This region contains nerves linked to posture, stress regulation, and the feeling of letting go. When someone is overwhelmed, this part of the body tightens instinctively. When supported, it softens instantly. Here's why this works so well for men over 50. Your pace is slower. Your energy is steadier. Your presence is more grounding. A younger man can touch this area and get no response. But when a mature man makes contact with calm intention, the nervous system reads it completely differently. Let me walk you through the exact technique. Stand or sit behind her, not too close, not too far. Lift your hand slowly until it hovers behind her upper back. Pause for 1 second. Then place your palm gently on the center of her back, letting your hand mold naturally to the curve of the spine. Do not move immediately. Stillness is the message. Stillness tells her brain she doesn't need to protect herself. After 2 or 3 seconds, apply a slight downward pressure, just enough to offer support, not to push or correct posture. This stabilizing pressure signals the spine to relax, which then sends calming messages through the vagus nerve. Within seconds, breathing deepens, shoulders lower, and the emotional tone shifts. And here's the fascinating part. When the spine relaxes, the brain becomes more open to bonding. This is not theory. It's physiology. Now let's tie everything together with a simple regimen you can start tonight. Short regimen. Slow your breathing by 10%. Approach at a slower pace. Add 1 to 2 seconds of anticipation. Use one of the 3 areas you've learned so far: shoulder ridge, inner forearm, upper back. Hold stillness for a moment before moving. Repeat the action with the same pace. Consistency builds trust. It's that simple. 5 steps. All grounded in neuroscience. All designed for a mature man's natural strengths. Now, before we move on, de la CTA, so tu cuc ne, jub ho cam cat. Choose one action from the regimen you will try this week. Just one. Type the number 1 to 5 below. This small decision increases your follow-through, and it helps other men choose too. Because in the next section, we're going to explore a 4th key area, subtle, science-backed, and unbelievably effective at deepening emotional safety. Now we're ready for the 4th area of emotional connection, one that men almost never think about, yet it plays a huge role in how safe, understood, and grounded your partner feels around you. It's the side of the ribcage, just below the arm, along the curve of the torso. Not the front, not the waist, but the side where the ribs expand with every breath. Here's why this spot matters more than you can imagine. This area is closely tied to the body's interoceptive system, the system that tracks internal states like breathing, calmness, and emotional balance. When someone touches the ribcage gently and intentionally, the brain becomes more aware of the breath. And when breath becomes aware, stress levels drop, tension dissolves, emotional walls loosen. This means one simple truth. If you can influence the breath, you can influence the emotional tone of the moment. Let me explain how to do this with precision. Stand beside her, not behind, not in front. The side position feels collaborative, not confrontational. Raise your hand slowly and let it hover for just a moment, giving her nervous system time to recognize your presence. Then place your palm gently on the outer side of her ribcage. Don't press. Don't guide. Just rest your hand there, allowing it to move naturally with her breathing. Within seconds, something subtle happens. Her breath unconsciously syncs with yours. If you're calm, she becomes calmer. If you slow your breathing, hers will follow. If you steady your rhythm, her body mirrors you. This isn't psychology. This is biology. The ribcage is packed with mechanoreceptors, sensors that detect expansion, pressure, and rhythm. These receptors communicate directly with the emotional centers of the brain. That's why this area is so powerful. You're not touching a body part, you're influencing a state of being. Now, here's the key technique mature men excel at. Hold your hand there. Don't move yet. Let your breath guide the moment first. After a few cycles, if the moment feels right, make a slow, gentle upward motion that follows the direction of her breath. Not to lead it, just to acknowledge it. This creates a synchronizing effect that younger men rarely achieve because they move too quickly, too anxiously, too outcome-focused. But you? Your steady presence becomes the anchor her nervous system can relax into. And once that relaxation starts, connection deepens without effort, without performance, without forcing anything. This is intimacy built through physiology, not theatrics. And here's the part that surprises most men. The ribcage is one of the most emotionally responsive areas of the entire body, yet it's also one of the most overlooked. But the final area, the fifth one, is even more powerful. It ties every principle together: anticipation, breath, safety, and emotional bonding. Most men have never used it,